Good afternoon. Today we're going to look at 4 questions that we're going to answer using the IDEA software. IDEA is a data analytics software. We're going to start with some very basic functions and answer 4 questions. So the 4 questions we're going to answer are: how many records did you import? How many individuals are on the payroll? Is a company in compliance with the Medicare and Fica withholdings? And do all employees with 80 plus hours have the approval of the supervisor? So to answer these questions, I'm going to switch gears and move into IDEA. And the first question I need to address is: how many records did I import? So to do that, I have to first import the records. And the way you would do that is, after you opened IDEA, you click on the Create tab. That's the second tab you see over here on top in the ribbon, which it says Create a New Report. Once you click that, it asks you to give a name for the project. So what we're doing over here is we are going to name this project, and we're going to call it IDEA Practice Assignment. And I am going to call it for the fall 2019, so I know which semester I'm working on. And I will select the OK button. Once I do that, I have created a managed project. The next thing I need to do is I need to bring the data in. In order to bring the data in, I click on the desktop icon. That's over here. Once I do that, I'm going to select Microsoft Excel. This was a file that was given to you. You should have downloaded this file by now. And it's asking me for the location. Where is this file located? Now I have my file on the desktop. You could see over here I have an icon that says IDEA Fall 2019. So I shall go ahead and choose the desktop. In the desktop, I'm going to specify IDEA Fall 2019, and I have only one file over there. That's a file that has the payroll for contractors. And I select Open, then I select Next. And at this point of time, you will see a pop-up window. And in this pop-up window, you're going to see that it's saying that it's going to import the sheet which has been named Payroll Assistant Manager. The first row has field names, and then it asks me whether I want to import anything that is zero. Any cell that is zero, that is blank, whether it should bring it in as zero. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the first one and the second one I'm going to uncheck it. Basically saying if it's blank, leave it blank, don't put anything over there. Okay, now that I'm done, I'm going to have an output name for this file. So the output name I'm going to have is Payroll for Contractors. I don't mind the underscore. If you want, you can take out the underscore. Let's take it off. Payroll for Contractors. And once I'm done with this, I'm going to click on the button that says OK. Now you can see a file has been imported. And if you want to maximize the screen within which you're looking at this, you would click on this button over here, the push pin that says Auto Hide. All it does is it pushes this thing to the side. We can always bring it back into view. So it's pushed it to the side. If I want to bring it back, I click on File Explorer. Now I can see the entire file that it has imported for me. Each line in IDEA is called a record. So the first question was, how many records have you imported? Now, if you see over here at the bottom, you see number of records is 986. That's how many records you've imported. I'm going back to my Word file, and I want to write down my answers. So I'm going to write the word answers. And for the first one, the answer is 986 records. Now, obviously, I want to see some information that tells me where you got this from. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to have a screenshot. So I click on Insert. I click on Screenshot. and I want screen clipping. I don't want the entire screen. And all I want is this portion here at the bottom. So I will highlight this over here. And I have this number of records, 986. That's where I got this from. Okay, so at this point of time, what I would suggest you do is, before we start working on the second answer, the second question, and trying to find out the answer, how many individuals are on payroll, we have this over here. Go ahead and click on the save button. You want to save this file so that you have the answers, and at the end you're going to save this as a PDF file, and that's what you're going to submit to me. So the first question was, how many records did you import? Going back to the idea file, I know I have imported 986. This is my primary file that I'm importing. I'm going to do all my analysis on this file. Okay, let's move on to the second question. How many individuals are on payroll? So obviously, if you look at this file, you will see you're going to get paid more than one time during the course of the year. So they want to know how many unique individuals there are. So for this, let's click on the, keeping this open, we click on the analysis tab, and the analysis is the first. You have file, home, data, analysis. Click on analysis. Once you've clicked on analysis, click on summarization. When you click on summarization, you want to click by you want to select by last name and then first name. Why do we need first name as well? There could be many people with the same last name. Okay, so I want the last name and the first name. And then what information do I want? I want how many hours they worked, and I want their gross paycheck. Okay, these are going to be the numeric. And within this, what would I like it to do for me? What I would like it to do in the summarization is, I'm going to create a database, and I want the sum of these numbers, the hours they worked, total hours, and the total pay they've gotten. And then I have a file name over here. So over here, it's up to you how you name the files. Keep it as descriptive as possible because this is for your internal records. And here I'm going to just say it is summarization payroll employees. Okay. And I'll click on the OK button. Now, at this point of time, what it does is it gives me a listing of all the people who are here. Again, come down over here and see. You have 62 unique records. Okay, so there are 62 people who work for me, and that's what's showing up over here. Once again, I'm going to go back into my Word document. I have 62 employees that are listed over here in my company, and I want to do a screenshot. So I'll do insert, screenshot, screen clipping, and I'll come all the way down to the bottom over here, and I'm going to have this as a screen clipping saying number of records is 62. Okay. Now I still have to do some more work over here. Now this information, I want to export it as an Excel file because I want to save this. I may want to do some analysis later on. Okay, so how do I save it? I choose File. I choose Export. So if you come down over here, click on Export. And then it's asking you, how do you want to export it as? The export the database is what? So I will say, I want to export it as an Excel 2007-2010. And then it's asking me for some more information over here, how I would like to save it. Okay. I have no indices. I just want all of them to be saved. So I don't want a range. I want everything. And do I want to name the worksheet? No. Now what's really important is, where are you saving this to? So I'm going to go back to my desktop, Fall Idea, and Here I'm going to call it Summarization of Payroll Employees, and I'm going to click the Save button. And then I'm going to say OK. And it has exported the file. So in the first assignment, you learned how to import an Excel file. Now you saw how to export an Excel file. Now I'm going back to my folder over here, just because I want to make sure that I have these files. And the files I'm interested in are the Excel files. So yes, I have the summarization of the and I can open this file. So I'm going to go ahead and open the file just to make sure it came through correctly. So when I click on this, and I quickly look through this, just eyeballing it. Yep, 62 records came. Remember, the first line has header, so it's 63 lines, which means 62 lines of records have come in over here. So I'm good with what I've saved over here for Excel. So I'm going to close out of my folder. So I have now taken care of the first two assignments. The first assignment was to import a file. The second one was to summarize the payroll employees to see how many unique individuals I have, and how many records for each of these people, what was the total hours they worked, what's the total amount they have been paid. Okay. Now, don't panic about what happened to your original file. It's over here. So at any point of time, you can switch between these two. You can switch between the files that you're looking at. So payroll for records, that's the original one, and summarization of payroll employees, that's a subset I have, and that one I have exported. So let's go back to this again. Now I'm going back to my Word document. So first question was, how many records did you import? We had 986 records. How many are there on the payroll? We got 62 records on the payroll, 62 individuals. Now the third question is the company in compliance with Medicare and Fica? Okay, so for this I need to go back to IDEA. I go back to my original record, and now we'll see how we're going to take care of this. So I click on the Analysis tab again, and then I click on the word Direct over here. Then I'm going to click on the file name under this file name over here. Okay, so when I double click over here, I am going to give it a name. We want to look at the Medicare, right? So employee Medicare and FICA. So we'll just say employee Medicare. And the criteria I'm going to have is I need to go down and I'm looking for employee Medicare. What I need to see is it equal to 0? Okay, you type the number 0 over here. And now here on the equation editor, you see two check marks over here. The first check mark is to run the program. The second check mark is asking IDEA to check for me whether the equation I wrote is valid or not. So let me first prove that. It says it's a valid equation. If it was not a valid equation, I'd have to correct my mistake and it'll help me through with that. So now I click on the check mark. Okay. Now I come down and over here, I'm going to ask, is the employee FICA correct? So again, I go down, look for employee FICA, double click on that. Is it equal to 0? Again, I validate my equation. Yes, that's correct. And then I click on the OK button over here. Okay. Now that I have done this, okay, I am going to run the program. And it is telling me that here we have these files, these 12 files that have both the FICA is 0 and the Medicare is 0. So let's just do one thing. Let's go back to our to our equation and see if I put only, 1 minute, made a mistake. I need to go back to my original file over here. I go back to direct and I'll do over here employee Medicare, and I say, we know how to do this now. Is the employee Medicare equal to 0? I know the equation is valid, but I just like to do that to make sure it's fine. And I click on OK. And it says, would you like to replace this file? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Oh, this, I've run into a problem. So let me cancel this here. Let me go back over here. I'm going to close that. Now all I've done is I've closed it. Go to File Explorer. And what you will see is I have each of these programs that I ran. I had these are called the payroll for contractor. This cube over here is called the parent database. And these programs that I ran so far are called the child database. Now, if I want to rerun something that I think I made a mistake on, what I will do is I come over here and I click on delete. It asks me, are you sure you want to delete this file? I say yes. And something to keep in mind is you're not allowed to delete a file that is open. So if I try to delete summarization, I want to go ahead and click delete. It says you cannot because it's being used, it's open. Okay, so because this file was open, it won't let me delete, which is a good thing. One of the reasons you want to keep files open, it's going to prompt you, do you really want to delete this or not? Okay, now that I've done that, let me come back over here. And in the payroll, go to direct. And I will say, I'm going to rewrite my formula. What I want is Medicare or Fica that is not in compliance. So that's equal to 0. So coming back here, same formula, but instead of doing it in 2 separate lines, I'm going to do it together. Medicare equal to 0 or, so I click the word or over here. And what you would see over here is it's a period or period. So I could type that out or I could just select it from here. Or I want FICA equals 0. Okay. So if either one of these is 0, I want it to give it to me. So I validate the equation and then I run the report. I click OK. And yeah, it was the same thing. It didn't matter how I did it, but I want to go ahead and look at this. So now I found that there are 12 records where the FICA is 0, and it so happens even Medicare is 0 for these individuals. Okay, so now that's the third thing that I've done. And going back to my Word document, for number 3, how many individuals, sorry, for number 3, is the company in compliance with Medicare and FICA withholdings? And obviously the answer is no. And just giving me the no as an answer is not sufficient. By now you should know what I'm going to ask you to do. I want a screenshot and do a screen clipping. And when you come in over here, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to actually, in this case, highlight this part because I want to know who these individuals are. Okay, so what we're looking at now is the answer is no, and I'll further expand. 12 employees have records with no Medicare or FICA withholdings. And you saw this file. I'm going to decrease the size of the image So it can fit in over here on the same page. Okay. And now the last question. Do all employees with 80 plus hours have the approval of the supervisor? Okay, so let's move back to IDEA. And let's go back to the payroll for contractors file. So again, if you see, I'm navigated, I have 3 files open. The one I want is the parent file, because that's the one, the parent database that has all the information, okay? So now what I want to do is, again, go back to the analysis tab. I'm in the analysis tab. I click on the direct, okay? This is where we're running our equations. And then in the file name over here, I'm going to write approval for 80 plus hours. I'm keeping it simple over here. Okay. So now what I need to do is, again, go back to the equation editor. And this time, what am I interested in? Which variable am I interested in? Which field name? Hours. Okay. So the hours, what am I interested in? If it's up to 80 hours, they don't need that, right? It is more than, equal to, or more than. So the wording should have been, are they in compliance with all employees that have 80 or more hours? So this should have actually been, I'm modifying that slightly over here, and it should be plus or minus, oh, no, sorry. Let me spell it out, equal to or greater than. Then 80 hours. Okay, so going back to IDEA, in my equation, I should say equal to, okay, so my mouse is acting up on me today. Okay, equal to or greater than. So actually here it says greater than or equal to, and it's 80 hours. That's what I'm interested in. Let me make sure that this equation that I've just typed up is good. Yep, that's fine. And once I know that's good, I shall run it. And, ooh, what do we have over here? So we have all these employees who have 80 plus hours, okay? The question is, do they all have approval or not? So what I can do over here is, I bring my mouse over the word APR for approval, and I double click on it. What happens is, just like in Excel, it does a sort. First, it has all the blank files, the blank records, and then it has all the other ones that are okay. So just again, eyeballing over here, if you look at it, they're all the same employee. Helene Earls is the employee. How many records do we have? If you look at it, there are a total of 17 records in her name. Interestingly, she is in Germany. So I go back over here, and for number 4, I'm going to say one employee with 80 plus hours does not have the supervisor's approval. We need a screen clipping, and I will do insert, screenshot, screen clipping, and again over here, I'm going to take a screen clipping only of this one individual, and I can minimize this. I'm running out of room on the first page, so I guess I will bring it down over here. One employee with 80 plus hours does not have the supervisor's approval, and I have a screenshot over here of that one employee. Okay, so once again, we had 4 questions that had to be answered. For each of these 4 questions, I walked you through how we would do it in IDEA. And this information, you will take screenshots to show me that you've actually done the work or where you've done it, and also for you to remember to go back. This is a lot of it is creating your own notes. This is going to be extremely helpful. I'd also recommend, if you want, take screenshots of those equation editors that you're running, the equations that you're running, the equation editor, as you're putting in equations, take screenshots. That's the best way to kind of keep a track of things. But there are other ways in which you can keep track of things, and I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes. So I have walked you through 4 of the questions. I'm going to give you 4 more questions, and I'd like you to try all of those. And what is really important now is we've done this analysis. After you do the analysis, you'll be writing a 1-page report, answering all these questions and giving a report to the appropriate authority about all the issues that you have found and possible explanations. Now, real quickly, I want to ask you to think about this. There was one individual, we said, who had all of these payrolls that were not approved. Okay, and let's go back to that database and look at this. She was in Germany. Is it possible that because she was in Germany that it didn't get approved? Is it because she's in a foreign country? So the question is, do we have other employees in foreign countries? Did they get approval? Well, if you just eyeball down, Canada, they got approval. You have people in other countries, United Kingdom, they got approval. So then it means what's unique or strange or different about this one person that she managed to get paid without any approval? So that's something that we need to be concerned about. So just getting me the data is not sufficient. It doesn't have to be long, drawn out explanations, but quick explanations about what happened and why this possibly happened, or is this a red flag, something that I need to be concerned about. That's what you would be submitting to me by way of a Word document, or you could save it as a PDF file. This can be saved as a PDF file or just as a Word document, and then you'd submit this to me on Blackboard. So hopefully this has given you an idea as to how to get started with these assignments.